Good afternoon, hello and welcome. You're with your stocks. I'm Samira Abdi and with me is Nigel D'Souza. For the market, well, we're getting closer to that 7,700 mark actually. So we're down about a half odd percent right now. We've lost about half a percent actually from the top that we saw earlier on. And in terms of what's not doing well, it's actually metals. It's all of these stocks that are getting impacted by crude. All of these are, including the real estate bag, there's utilities, all getting impacted and under pressure today. Actually, the mid-cap index down about 0.5%. Even the bank nifty is not doing too well. And there's some news flow on Wockhardt. They've been granted. Okay, I think I've missed that one. Qualified infectious disease product. Okay, QIDP, I think, license they've got.
For one of the antibiotics.
Yeah, for the new antibiotic drug. Okay, cool. So that's the news flow on Wockhardt. But Nigel, what are you spotting?
You know, Samira, Wockhardt was doing well actually in the last 1 hour approximately. So that one had already started moving up. If you just take a look at it, at around 1 p.m. it hit the high point of the day. But the bank nifty was always struggling in today's trading session. Intraday, we did see a bit of a fight back. I think in the last 1 hour, Infosys has come in for profit booking. So just pull up Infosys. You'll see that one is still holding mildly in the green, but it's come off a goodish bit from the high point of the day. Just take a look at that. SBI as well has taken a bit of a back. And from the broader markets, if you take a look at it, something like an India Cements, I think in the last 1 hour odd, that stock wasn't doing quite well. The mid-cap index currently is doing a relative underperformance. It's down with a cut-off close around 0.6%. Today we end in the red, Sumera. Then in fact it will be the fifth straight session that we're on, fifth straight losing streak.
Ouch. All right, let's get started and invite our two experts then on the show. Mayuresh Mirani of Asian Market Securities and Mayuresh Joshi of Angel Broking join in this afternoon to answer all the stock queries sent in by our viewers. We should have a first caller through to us already, and it's Dilip Gajjar who's on the line with us from Ahmedabad. Hi Dilip ji, क्या सवाल है आपका?
हाँ, गुड आफ्टरनून.
गुड आफ्टरनून.
हाँ, मैंने जेके टायर के 1400 शेयर 1500 शेयर लिए है 105 के रेट से.
ठीक है.
हाँ, और 500 अमन ऑफशोर है मेरे पास 396 के रेट से.
ओके.
हाँ, और एक मेरे पास है वो IDFC 900.
ओके, ठीक है.
हाँ, 62,120 के रेट से. तो क्या करना चाहिए मुझे?
ओके, आप
अच्छा, एक और मेन सवाल क्या है, दूसरा SMS फार्मा का है.
कौन सा? क्या
किया जाए? SMS फार्मा.
SMS फार्मा. अच्छा, ठीक है. तो पहले हम आपका जो मेन आपने हमें क्वेश्चन भेजा था जेके टायर पे, पहले उस पे फोकस करते हैं. आप इन्वेस्टर हैं या ट्रेडर हैं?
हाँ, नहीं, इन्वेस्टर हूँ मैं.
ओके, और कितने टाइम का नजरिया रखते हैं आप?
2-3 साल 5 साल.
Okay, ठीक है. So actually, ideally, I would have liked Mayuresh to answer this question since it is a long-term perspective, but I don't think Mayuresh should track this stock. So in that case, Mayuresh, what's your advice on JK Tyre for someone who wants to remain invested for the long term?
So if we look at JK Tyres, the stock has not done well as compared to the whole sector. In the near term, we have seen some volumes in the last few days. So any rise closer to 120, 130 level should be used to exit. And in the same sector, if one wants to stay with, there would be a better choice in MRF and CF tires.
All right, I think Mayuresh as well has a view on that particular counter. Mayuresh?
Afternoon, Nigel. For the benefit of the viewer, I'll answer the question in Hindi. So clearly, JK Tyre की अगर हम capacity expansion की बात करें कुछ सालों में, तो I think capacity expansion specifically truck radial segment में 1.5 million tons से I think 2.3 million tons की तरफ जा रही है. Passenger vehicles में 8 million से 10 million tons. तो कहीं ना कहीं I think जो benefits tyre companies को मिले थे with the fall in crude prices, synthetic rubber prices, वो clearly EBITDA margins पे दर्शा रहे हैं. EBITDA margins पिछले क्वार्टर में 17% पे आई थी. और हमें लगता है जैसे capex प्रोग्राम जेके टायर ने एम्बार्क किया था कुछ सालों पहले, पीकिंग ऑफ केपेक्स साइकिल हो गया है. तो जैसे कैश फ्लोज इंप्रूव होंगे, मेरे ख्याल से आई थिंक द नेट डेट विल आल्सो स्टार्ट कमिंग डाउन, जिसकी वजह से रिटर्न रेशियोज भी इंप्रूव होंगे, क्योंकि मैनेजमेंट की चाह यही रहेगी कि रिटर्न रेशियोज इंप्रूव करे, स्पेसिफिकली रिटर्न ऑन इक्विटी. क्लियरली आई थिंक जो एक दूसरी एंगल हम देख रहे हैं अगेन इज गवर्नमेंट एक उलझान देख रही है टुवर्ड्स एंटी डंपिंग, क्योंकि चाइनीज इंपोर्ट्स इतने थिक एंड फास्ट हो रहे हैं एंड चाइनीज टायर्स की वैल्यू स्पेसिफिकली रिप्लेसमेंट मार्केट में 25% कम है कंपेयर टू द डोमेस्टिक प्लेयर्स. तो मेरे ख्याल से आई थिंक वैल्यूएशंस अट्रैक्टिव है, डेट लेवल स्लोली कम होंगे, EBITDA शुड सस्टेन एंड इनफैक्ट एक्सपैंड गोइंग फॉरवर्ड अगर क्रूड और सिंथेटिक रबर के प्राइसेस और भी कम होते हैं. तो अगर उनका 2 से 3 साल का नजरिया है तो जेके टायर को बिल्कुल होल्ड किया जा सकता है.
Okay, and just to wrap up this query, Nuresh, let me come back to you because there are three more stocks actually. I hope you had noted them down. There's SMS Pharma, which I think for the year is up about 141%. This month it's rallied about 7.29%, holds a market cap just in excess of 800 odd crores. Although volumes are not very high, just about 8,000 odd shares traded today, 68,000 average. And the other two being Arban Offshore, which he's bought at 396, so he should be making a significant loss over there, and IDFC where he's in the money. What's your take?
So if we look at SMS Pharma, the stock has been in a strong uptrend for the last few months as well as in the long term. So I would suggest a hold and maybe review the stock whenever it goes closer to 1300 levels. Secondly, on Arban Offshore, the stock has been in a downtrend. I would suggest to exit the stock at current levels. So, and the last one being IDFC, that would be a hold. The stock has not done well post the demerger, but we expect over the next 2-3 years, if the investor has a long-term view, I think a lot of the stocks are oversold, both IDFC and IDFC Bank. So I would suggest to hold at current levels and keep it for the next 2 to 3 years.
All right, then that's a view on those couple of stocks. But let's address the news that was flashing for you on the screen. Wokat, there was news that the US FDA had granted a breakthrough drug discovery status to the company, and in fact, just pull the stock up. I think it's breaking through currently. It's moved to the low point of the day. Ekta standing by. She's going to give us all those details. Ekta?
Well, it is a positive for Wokat in the larger scheme of things. They have received QIDP, or what it is QIDP status for a couple of their products in the past. So this is not fresh news which is coming for Wokat. So now basically what QIDP status is that it's basically granted to drugs which is identified by the Center for Disease Control in the US, which acts against which basically meets a high degree of unmet need in a treatment. So basically it's a drug which really needs to be developed in order to treat a particular unmet need which exists in the market, and hence it's given QIDP status. So the QIDP status basically provides for fast-track clinical development as well as the review of the drug application by the US FDA for drug approval, and a 5-year extension of market exclusivity post the product approval in the US if that comes through. So that means that the incentive for a company is much greater once they have QIDP status, because it benefits both parties. For example, it meets an unmet need in the market, plus on the other side the company has more incentive in order to see to take the drug to its final approval stage. So yes, it's a positive for Wokat. It's a shot in the arm which is coming for the particular new antibiotic which they've got QIDP status for.
All right, Ekta, thanks so much for addressing that particular news flow. But just pull up Power Grid. That stock suddenly has seen a bit of a knock in the last few minutes. You pull up Reliance Power as well. That stock as well has taken a bit of a knock. So that's Power Grid. Pull up Reliance Power. You'll see that that stock as well is struggling. And Anisha just tells us that in fact we have Adani Power as well. That's currently down close to around 10% as we speak, on the back of the target price cut by Macquarie. So pull up Adani Power as well. You'll see that that one as well is struggling as we speak. But let's get to our next query. Then we have Devinder, who calls us from Patna. He has investments in Marksons Pharma. Hi Devinder ji, good afternoon. आपका सवाल क्या है?
गुड आफ्टरनून। मेरा है कि हमारे पास मार्क्सन फर्मा है।
ओके।
हेलो।
यस।
95 का है।
ऑलराइट।
तो हम निकल जाएं कि रखें अभी?
ऑलराइट। Naresh, what's your take on the stock? He's got it pretty much at the top at around 95 rupees odd. I think the highest level that we've seen is around the 110, 115 odd. Should he hang on to it?
See, technically, if you look at Marksons Pharma, that stock has continued in a strong uptrend over the last 1 or 2 years. In the near term, it has been facing a lot of resistance around 110 to 115 levels. And we believe in the next few months that should break out also on the upside. And given that the stock has already moved up a lot, I would suggest keeping a stop loss at 93 levels and hold on to the stock with a target price of 130 in the medium term.
All right, on that note, it's time for us to take a very quick break. We'll come back and answer some more queries. Our two experts are going to stay on with us. So do stay tuned to your stocks.
CNBC TV 18, celebrating 16 years of business leadership.
Welcome back. Then as we speak, the Nifty is still down close to around 30 points odd. The Bank Nifty has lost more than 100 points odd. So let's get straight to answering some of the queries. We have Mr. Srinivas who calls us from Vijayawada. He has investments in PNB. Hi Mr. Srinivas, good afternoon. How can we help you?
Hi sir, afternoon sir. Sir, I had bought 300 shares sir, Punjab National Bank.
Alright.
At the rate of 143 sir.
Okay.
I can wait 6 months to 1 year sir.
Alright, 6 months to 1 year. Can you extend that time horizon, Mr. Srinivas, because it's always preferable to hold shares for a longer term. So if the need arises, can you hold it for more than 1 year, maybe 2 years?
Oh, okay sir.
Yeah, alright. So both options are open. Very good. Okay, Mayuresh, coming across to you. He wants to hold it maybe for around 1 year to around 2 years, if that's okay. PNB has been a big underperformer in the last couple of years. Do you believe that it could be a turnaround story for the next couple of years?
So clearly, Nigel, I think if you look at the asset quality and the way the numbers have been panning out for a PNB, the underperformance in our opinion would continue at least for the next 2 quarters. But having said that, probably I think the advances growth was a tad bit disappointing in the quarter gone by at 6.7%. The retail advances were much better within that space itself. But I think credit growth needs to pick up on a larger scale. The second point probably that we're probably looking at is in terms of pure asset quality. The GNPAs came at 6.36% for the quarter gone by. The net NPAs came close to 3.99%. So clearly if you're looking at fresh slippages, they were down. If you do a comparative check on a quarter-on-quarter basis to 2,388 odd crores, the fresh restructuring was much better on a quarter-on-quarter basis at 216 crores compared to 676 odd crores. However, I think the restructured pipeline is close to 38,600 odd crores, which is close to 10.3% of their total advances. And the kind of advances that they've given out to stressed out sector where working capital constraints are still high. Our take is that the capital allocation and again I think the asset quality should probably remain at elevated levels. Again, valuations looking extremely attractive at this point of time. Capital adequacy remains strong at 12.2%. The CASA ratio is strong for PNB. But again, I think the asset quality will keep on having pressure points at least as far as the stock price are concerned. So clearly I think you need to hold on to the stock. You've got an horizon of more than 15 months to probably look at even making money on your investments. Apart from that, I think any lesser amount of time horizon, say 6 months or 9 months, I think you can probably switch on to private sector banks, say something like an Axis or an ICICI.
Yeah, that's true. And even technically speaking, I mean, at least to my untrained eye, the stock is not looking to be in any sort of position of strength. Nuresh, what's your take? It's actually heading closer to its 52-week low now, about 123 minutes currently at 132. It's well below its 200 DMA. You think there's more downside in store for PNB?
So technically all the PSU banks have been on a downtrend, and if somebody wants to stick to a PSU bank, the 2 options would be SBI and Bank of Baroda. Those are the only stocks which have done considerably well and not broken into new 52-week lows over the last few months. So I would suggest an exit from PNB and go towards Bank of Baroda.
All right, that's the advice. Both are experts actually cautious on PNB. Nuresh, in fact, going as far as to say to exit the stock entirely. Mayuresh, of course, cautious on the stock. Up next, Kawaljit Singh has written to us from Faridabad. He has 5,500 shares in GMR Infra, which he's bought at 24 rupees. So that means he's making almost 50,000 in terms of losses. He says that he has a time horizon of about 5 years and now wants to know whether he should average at these levels or he should exit the stock. Mayuresh, he may have a time horizon of about 5 odd years, but averaging at these levels a bit dangerous, you think?
So clearly, Sumera, I think if you look at this different business verticals, specifically the airports and the energy vertical, the airports business probably has done much better in terms of both contribution to the top line, which is in excess of 50%, and even in the EBITDA front, the margins are relatively much higher compared to the energy and the roads business that GMR has. Again, I think the basic issue with the stock is that debt levels, and again, I think on a consolidated basis, debt levels are close to 41,000 crores. The company is intentful of probably looking at raising $1 billion in terms to deleverage the the balance sheet. But clearly, I think the cash flows will still keep on struggling. The power business has done relatively better because of the subsidy payments that it received because of the imported gas that it had taken on. But clearly, I think on a consolidated basis, consistency in cash flow is something that I ideally look at. Again, 5 years for GMR. I think it might play out in that time period. But again, I think one really needs to look at the stock every 2 quarters, 3 quarters on how these segmental performances have been. So clearly, I think my suggestion is you can look at either stocks within this space like a KNR Construction where the balance sheet strength is extremely strong. Debt equity ratio is almost negligible at 0.1. Earnings growth in excess of 22%. There are no working capital constraints because execution is extremely strong on the balance sheet. The premiumization that KNR receives because of its order book, and again I think because of the EBITDA margin that it generates is quite higher compared to its peers. So I think with a 5-year horizon, even private sector banks, as I mentioned earlier, Axis, ICICI, or a slew of top tier IT stocks like an Infosys can be looked at in creating a portfolio. And I'm pretty sure I think these top tier companies would outperform the benchmark indices over the next 5 years in terms of core return on investment.
All right, Mayuresh, thanks so much for that reply. By the way, just pull up a couple of stocks. Let's pull up Jet Airways. That stock has moved to the high point of the day, so that one should be up for you. And another couple of stocks that are moving quite well. Cosmo Films as well should come up for you. That stock has seen a sharp spike in the last few minutes, and NCL Industries as well has spiked up. So just pull those 2 stocks. You'll see in the last few minutes, a couple of stocks have started doing quite well as well. Let's slip into a short break. You come back, we'll focus on a lot more stocks as well as the markets. Stay tuned.
CNBC TV 18, celebrating 16 years of business leadership.
Hi, welcome back. Look at a stock like GAIL. It's down 3.5% now, and a lot of that, in fact, nearly 0.7% it has lost in the last few minutes. Or if you see, the stock would be virtually at the lows of trade right now. Another stock we're seeing a bit of pressure coming in is Maruti. It's down about 1% already, and about 1/3 of that has actually come in the last few minutes. So that is also at the low point of trade. And ACC is another stock, although I think from the lows, it's finding some bit of support. But let's get back to answering the queries sent in by our viewers. Sudeen Batija is our next viewer, and he's on the line with us from Bangalore. Hi, Sudeen.
Hi, ma'am.
Hi, how can we help you?
Yeah, I'm holding 50 shares of Sun Pharma at average rate of 820.
Okay.
I got a 5-year time frame.
Okay.
I want to know if I should keep adding on declines.
Okay, and is this the only stock that you have, or do you have a portfolio of other stocks as well?
No, I'm having a big portfolio.
Oh, you have a big portfolio. Okay. Mayuresh, then let me first come to you on this. What's your take on Sun Pharma? And for someone who's looking at a horizon as long as 5 years, would it be a good bet, not just to hold on, but to also buy on dips?
Oh yes, and if the stock does correct again from the current levels, it does make perfect sense to buy more of the stock and then probably hold it on. Clearly, I think even if you exclude the Gleevec contribution, our own take is a 9.5% increase in top line to 32,600 odd crores. Our own expectations in EPS growth over the next 2 years were a growth of 8.5%, close to the 27 rupees mark. Now with the Gleevec contribution, we're estimating anywhere between $250 to $300 million getting added in that exclusivity period. You're probably looking at bottom line numbers getting added to the tune of $75 to $90 million odd dollars. So clearly, I think the EPS impact of 8 to 9% on the higher side can be seen just from the Gleevec contribution. And then again, they've got very strong ANDA pipeline. So 454 drugs applied, 154 drugs nearly awaiting approval. And over the next 5 years, I'm pretty sure I think the Halol resolution will take place over the next few quarters. And clearly, the network integration cost with Ranbaxy FY16 is more or less assumed to be soft quarters for Sun Pharma, but that's already built in to the numbers that one really expects. So yes, I think clearly hold on to the stock. Our time frame or our time or our price for the stock over the next 2 years is somewhere close to 1,000 rupees, but clearly you can hold on for more than that. I'm pretty sure that the stock can deliver better returns even from the current levels.
All right, Mayuresh, could you give us your take quickly?
So if we look at Sun Pharma on the short-term charts, what we are seeing is the last support levels were closer to 820 to 850. So unless the investor has a horizon of more than 1 to 2 years, I would suggest an exit on rise to 820 to 850 levels.
Okay, so that's for the short-term investor, but in the longer term, I guess things looking good. Mayuresh, Nuresh, thanks very much, both of you, for joining in and advising our viewers. We'll wrap up on your stock. Do stay tuned. Closing bell will take you through the last hour of trade.
CNBC TV 18, celebrating 16 years of business leadership.